what you will expect from me.
Maybe give me a hug and say I'm sorry you're depressed.
I'm not doing that.
Ouch. That's not how you want your partner, your husband, to react when you're brave enough to admit that you're struggling with your mental health. But unfortunately, TJ is full of alarming behaviour today. In fact, just weeks after getting married, it's starting to feel like he wants this marriage over.
You have all right to separate with me also.
I don't want to separate from you.
Because I'm a...
No, I said I don't. God damn it.
What was that scream? The pain! It was so visceral. You can feel that in your soul. Boy, there's a lot to unpack here. But let's start at the beginning. So when we last saw Kim and TJ, Kim was being overwhelmed with cow dung. It was immediately clear that she was really struggling to find her voice, find her role in this relationship, in this new extended home. But since we last saw them, it seems like things have only gotten worse.
Kim and I have been married for 3 months, and my family feeling disrespected. They want Kimberly to spend more time downstairs, having food together.
Now, family mealtime, sitting all together, is a very big thing for TJ's family. It's their time to connect with each other. But Kim, isolating herself, really feels like she doesn't want to be part of the family. But I have a feeling it's a bit more complicated than that. You see, on the one hand, TJ claims that his family want Kim to eat with them. They want her to feel a part of the family. Yet, on the other hand, they all seem so happy to bitch about her.
3 दिन बैठी रहती, पता ही नहीं चलता कि ऊपर है कि नहीं है. हम लोग को भी डर लगता, हम जा नहीं सकते ज़्यादा ऊपर.
This sounds like concerning behaviour. Like, instead of all complaining about how disrespected they all feel, maybe someone might like to go and check on Kim, make sure she's okay. But sadly, TJ is torn between Kim and his family. He tries to remain neutral. He tries to tell his family that if Kim doesn't want to come downstairs, well, then she doesn't have to. But that's not good enough for them.
जिस हिसाब से वो पली बड़ी होते हैं, वो उसमें ही मैं जी रही हूँ. परिवार के हिसाब से अलग से अपॉइंटमेंट होते हैं मिलने के. अपने वाला सब एक ही है ना.
This is their different cultures clashing. But from the looks of things, it feels like no matter what Kim does, it will never be enough. This strain is now affecting Kim and TJ's relationship. In order to avoid arguments, TJ has resorted to avoiding Kimberly. He instead chooses to stay downstairs with his family. And that only serves to further isolate Kim. It's really taking its toll, and TJ feels exhausted from being the middleman.
Kimberly is looking from her perspective, my family is looking from their perspective, and I have to listen to both of them, but I never get an opportunity to express my frustration.
I feel a little bad for TJ. He's feeling overlooked. But let's not forget that this whole scenario came about because of him. He's the one that chose to marry an American, and he did so hiding the truth from her, not being honest about what her life would look like post-marriage. Sure, he can cry about it now, but all of these problems are self-inflicted. So how's Kim doing?
TJ is at work all of the time, and I'm stuck in the apartment all day. It's extremely isolating.
Right, so speaking of self-inflicted problems, Kim is also guilty here. She talks about how she's reliant on TJ to leave the house because she doesn't speak the language. But why wasn't she already learning the language before moving to India to marry TJ? Like, knowing that she was going to live in India, what steps has she taken to actively integrate into the community? Being able to speak even a few basic sentences would really go a long way. It would really help with communicating with his family. It would help reduce the tension.
The past couple of months living with TJ's family haven't been without conflict. For example, if somebody wants to go upstairs to the roof, they have to go through our living room.
Kim explains that she's asked the family to ring the doorbell if they ever want to come upstairs. She says it's so that she can make sure she's modestly dressed. She clearly doesn't want a repeat of the jeans incident. She says she wants to respect their dress code, but her request for them to ring the doorbell has been misunderstood. They see this as, you're not welcome upstairs.
And now, whenever I go downstairs, I'm just met with hostile looks and not even greeted. It's been tough.
Yeah, I knew that TJ's family weren't giving the whole story. Of course she wouldn't go downstairs if that's the environment she's walking into. She's outnumbered, she doesn't speak the language, and now, to make matters worse, she feels completely alone because her own husband is avoiding her. But speaking of said husband, it seems like TJ has finally got the courage to come upstairs and have a word with his wife.
Whenever I try to talk to TJ about this kind of stuff, he just becomes defensive and accusatory. I've gotten to the point where my mental health is crumbling around me.
Kim's life in India has become a worst case scenario. She needs to take action. So she sits down with her husband and tries to start a calm, reasonable conversation with him. She tells him how lonely she feels. She feels really isolated. She's really struggling. But for everything that Kim says, TJ has an annoyingly unsympathetic response.
I can't talk to my friends. Whenever they're awake, it's like midnight here and I'm asleep.
That's how the timing works. What to do?
When Kim says that she feels lonely being alone in the house all day, TJ replies, "You used to live in a house in the US. What's the big deal?" His lack of understanding, his lack of empathy is really shining through. It really feels like what Kim needs most right now is a bit of sympathy. She really needs a hug. She needs her husband to put his arms round her and tell her it will all be okay. But TJ doesn't have it in him. He already feels like he's been stretched too thin. So at this point, he's got nothing left to give Kim.
I feel like I'm starting to get depressed because I can't do anything.
So maybe it's a common problem now.
It's not a common problem to get depressed right after you get married.
What a cold reaction. Kim's telling her husband that she feels mentally unwell, and TJ's response is to brush it off and call it a common problem. Now, could this be a cultural thing? Is mental illness taken as seriously in India as it is in, say, the States? Well, whatever the truth, whatever the reason for his response, Kim attempts to continue with the conversation. She's trying to mend their problems.
I don't think that whenever you and I get into an argument that it's healthy for you to just go down there and not talk to me. That's not how a marriage works.
Kimberly is trying her best to have a conversation, not an argument. But the way that TJ's acting right now is a bit like speaking to a brick wall. He's cold, he's not giving much back. But he does admit that he's been avoiding her because he doesn't want any arguments. Now, Kim tries to explain to him that that is only helping to make her feel more isolated.
It feels like you're secluding me in a jail cell. It feels like I'm in isolation, and I don't feel like I have the freedom to go downstairs whenever I want.
Now, it's when TJ brings up Kim's issues with his family that she begins to get riled up. Maybe it's because this is a sensitive topic. She feels outnumbered. She feels like TJ doesn't have her back. But that isn't entirely true. We have seen TJ defend Kim a number of times to his family. But this whole subject is starting to piss Kim off.
I'm not ignoring them. I just don't have anything to say because I'm not on good terms with them.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Kim is really riled up now. She claims that TJ's family don't really want to solve anything with her. All they do is bitch about her, she says. Now, for TJ's mum, there's a language barrier, so okay, maybe communication might not be great. But for her brother-in-law, for Yash, well, he speaks perfect English. There's no excuse with him. He could have approached Kim for a conversation, but instead, he prefers to whisper to his mum about how bad a wife she is. But TJ doesn't like Kim talking about his family like this.
Are you crazy about that?
Tejaswi, I have asked you multiple times not to dare call me crazy. I don't call you an ass. I don't call you a dick. I don't call you a titty baby. I don't call you anything that you don't like to be called.
Damn, Kim, she went in just then. Now, for those who, like me, had no idea what a titty baby is, well, it's apparently a southern expression. It's a way of calling someone a coward. And for as insulting as that might be, it's not entirely untrue, is it? TJ has been very cowardly about a lot of things. Like, he didn't have the guts to tell Kim about her housewife duties. He hasn't been able to stand up to his family and set firm boundaries. He'd rather stay downstairs and avoid his wife than have an argument. And now he's running away from his marriage.
How many times I told you, if you feel alone, you can go back to US.
I want to be with my husband, but it doesn't seem like my husband even wants to be with me.
Kim's desperately trying to hold it together, but you can hear the tears in her voice. TJ's making her feel like she's not worth the effort, like she's become too much hard work, like it would be better and easier for everyone if she were to just go back to the States. He's turning his back on their marriage, and now he's trying to make it look like it's all Kim's fault.
With me, if you feel like a jail, I can do anything.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't. I can
You can
change.
support me.
TJ's just dusting his hands at Kim. In his eyes, he's done everything he can. There's nothing left in him to give. But to Kim, TJ hasn't done enough. He hasn't helped her with this process. Now, TJ has absolutely no idea how he's supposed to support Kim. He asks her if he should leave his job. Should he leave his family? What exactly do you want from me? He asks.
I'm asking you to listen to me.
How many times I would listening to you, that means I
You have
am...
to listen to me for the rest of your life. That's what marriage is.
This is really sad. It's only been 3 months since their fairy tale wedding, yet things have got so bad that TJ can't even listen. He's tired. He's had enough. He seems completely disconnected from this marriage. He's now brought up that Kim should move back to the States numerous times. It's like he wants her to go. He wants her to cut and run. He seems like he genuinely has zero interest in trying to fix this marriage.
I'm telling you that I'm depressed and you don't care.
What you will expect from me?
Maybe give me a hug and say I'm sorry you're depressed.
I'm not doing that.
Wow, what is wrong with TJ? He seems like a completely different guy. This isn't the kind, patient, loving man that we've seen all season. Yes, of course, we all knew that he had some red flags. It was always a concern how readily, how easily he was able to lie to Kim. But honestly, I never thought that he could be like this. A marriage really is doomed when one party has to beg for a hug, isn't it? Unfortunately, there's no hugs for Kim because TJ is too busy thinking of himself.
You keep asking me to give you emotional support. What about me? What about my emotional sentiments? Who gonna give me support? Nobody.
You're not telling me whenever you need anything, and I'm trying my best.
So he refuses to talk to Kim. TJ hides from her and goes running to his mummy. But then he has the audacity to complain when Kim doesn't know what's going on with him and isn't there to be his emotional support. TJ's making this a no-win situation for Kim. It's impossible to have an argument with someone who's deliberately being obtuse. But oh boy, it's about to get even worse.
You have all right to separate with me also.
I don't want to separate from you.
Because I'm a...
No, I said I don't. God damn it.
Now, we've been waiting for this scream for a while. It's been teased for quite some time now. And I would have said up until now that bar someone dying in front of your eyes, nothing would warrant such a primal scream. But after seeing TJ's callous attitude towards Kim, it now suddenly seems a lot more justifiable. This is a pure outflow of all of her pent-up frustration. After all the isolation, all the loneliness, this is her need to be heard. It says so much that Kim's like, help me, I'm feeling depressed. Yet TJ's first response is, okay, fine, we'll divorce and you can go back to America.
मम्मी जीना आराम कर दिया यार. हद हो गई यार.
मैंने कहा चल जा खुश हो जाओ थोड़ी देर.
If TJ really is as tapped out as he's acting, then this marriage is doomed. And of course, he goes running straight to his mummy after slamming the door on his wife. So remind me again, what was that phrase that Kim used earlier? Titty baby? Yeah, seems very fitting.